Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and man, I am so excited about this video. I've been thinking about how to put it together, and the reason I'm excited is that 2 weeks ago, I paid off my mortgage in full, and now I am 100% debt-free.
3, 2, 1. We're debt free! Yeah, baby!
So here's what I want to talk about in this video. I broke it into 3 separate parts. The first is really the most important. It's a concept, a general concept, and strategies for anyone to follow to pay off their mortgage and accelerate that payoff process. Number 2 is I will walk you through specifically how I did it over the last 4 years and the strategies I employed to accelerate my mortgage payoff and be at a debt-free state. And then lastly, the peace of mind that comes along with being debt-free, which is truly priceless. It's invaluable.
The look on your ex-boyfriend's face, priceless.
And once you get there, there's just a world of possibility regarding mental health and financial investments, things like that. So I want to get there. So let's dive into topic number 1. So I want to set the stage a little bit because I need you to be of the mindset that mortgages are bad. And the reason that they're bad is because they are a very expensive tool to help you own property over a very long period of time. And they are written in a way that allows the bank to make a lot of money off of you if you take it out over that 30-year period. If you look at an amortization calculator online, if you have a $300,000 loan, for example, that's just the principal, and you take it out 30 years, you're going to be paying something like another $150,000, depending on the interest rate, to interest. So something like $450,000, $500,000 over the life of the loan, and that's incredibly expensive. Yes, you're moving towards owning your property outright, but it is a tool that was created to make money off of the homeowner and the consumer. So you got to keep that in mind. And when you get angry at your mortgage broker and company, that will allow you to have some level of incentivization towards paying off your mortgage more quickly. Because if you don't think about it, you don't get angry, you're going to say, it's just a monthly payment. I'm going to let it be there for 30 years. And that's where you're going to get stuck.
Where's your killer instinct, son? You gotta get angry. You gotta get mean.
So the general concept regarding acceleration of mortgage payoff is around freeing up cash flow so that you can take that extra cash and then apply it to the principal of your mortgage balance. And where people get stuck is they have a car loan, and then they have credit card debt, and then they have student loans, and then they have a mortgage. And when you have so many different types of debt, you get stuck because you don't know where to apply extra money. And really, all of those debts and the minimum payments are zapping any potential cash flow that you might have to apply to anything. So that's where people just kind of throw up their hands and are like, I'm just going to make the minimum payment every month on anything and hope for the best. So if you listen to Dave Ramsey, for example, he talks about his snowball method, and you stack up your debts smallest to largest. And as you knock those out, you free up a little bit of cash here, a little bit of cash here. And it's not going to be done overnight, but it takes time to make a conscientious decision to tackle debts one at a time. And then you apply that extra cash to that next set of debts and that next set of debts. And by the end of it, you are not only debt free, but you have a huge amount of cash, which then becomes an avalanche down the mountain. And that's when you switch from paying debts on a monthly basis to investing on a monthly basis. And that's where your net worth really starts to take off.
I love it. I love it.
Let's walk through a very quick example. Let's say you have $5,000 of credit card debt, and the monthly minimum payment, let's say, is $100. So if you're able to pay that off, get that $5,000 wiped out, let's say you have a few thousand in savings, you need to come up with a couple more thousand through some future paychecks. So you're going to pay off that $5,000, and then immediately, as soon as it's gone, that debt is wiped, you have that extra $100 to play with. And then what do? Let's say you can apply that to your car payment. The average car payment in America right now is $700 $1,237. That's insane.
Oh, hell no!
That's like double the payment I had a few years ago. So we've seen payments just skyrocket. And so let's just say $500 payment, which is the average on a used car. And you take that $100 from your freed credit card payments and apply that now to your car payment. And it just becomes a little bit faster. You've accelerated the payoff of your car now that you've knocked out one set of debt. And then the same concept applies when you pay off that car. And now you have another $500 from your car payment that has now vanished. So you take that $100 from your credit card payment, which is no longer, plus that $500 from your car payment, which is no longer. You now have $600 to apply, let's say, to student loans. And let's say you have a $20,000 balance and a $500 monthly payment. And now the two other payments that you used to have are completely covering the payment of that student loan. And it just kind of, as you see, kind of snowballs from there because you're just kind of flipping those non-existent payments anymore into your existing debt payments. And that's how it can get faster and faster. I also want to explain two very common pitfalls that a lot of Americans fall into when it comes to that freed up cash flow. And generally, a lot of Americans don't even get to that level where they do free up cash flow. So once you do it, you want to make sure that you're making smart financial decisions with that extra money that you now have. That first pitfall is they'll free up that $100 we talked about or that $500, and they'll say, wow, I have more discretionary income. I am rich now and I can just go spend it.
I'm rich, biatch!
And that's what they do. And they don't think about it and they just go out and spend it and try to keep up with the Joneses or upgrade their lifestyle instead of making a smarter move with that and applying that cash flow to other debts or investing it in a smarter way to build their net worth. And the second pitfall is a homeowner will take that free cash flow, that $100, $500, and then they'll say, oh, I would be dumb not to invest it in the market and put it in an index fund or a mutual fund or pick my favorite stock, because they'll say, oh, I have a 5% mortgage right now and I saw that the Dow did 15% in 2024, so I'd be making 10%, the delta on my money annually. And let me tell you something, that is a quintessential middle class mentality that will allow you and your family to keep your mortgage for 30 years. And you'll never get out of debt if you don't get mad at your mortgage and aggressively attack those balances. So I want to switch gears a little bit and tell you guys the exact steps that I took to pay off my mortgage in 4 years and 3 months exactly. Now that we've talked about the concepts which allow you to take additional cash flow and apply it to debt after debt after debt and accelerate your entire payoff schedule, I want to explain the methods that I used to pay off my mortgage. And I want to make a quick disclaimer and be very clear here that this is a process that started over 5 years ago. And if I was to repeat this today, it would take longer. So I don't want you to watch this video and say, Taylor's full of shit. There's no way that this is even possible, because I was able to take advantage of very low interest rates, under 3%, and take advantage of the COVID boom. And that's just the reality. So I'm being very transparent with you guys that while I was fortunate to be able to do this, I did have an extreme focus on paying off the mortgage, and it takes that maniacal focus to get going and maintain that focus throughout time. But again, I am self-aware, and I know the market, the rates are still 6 or 7%. Housing prices are still at an all-time high, and doing this will take more time. Again, probably closer to 8 to 10 years if I were to repeat it instead of 4. So just being truthful with you guys. But I want to explain what I did because the math still works.
Come on. Do math.
So back to 2019, I was searching for a specific type of property, and I was looking as I was saving up money for a down payment. And what I ended up finding, if you guys have seen some of my other videos, you know what kind of property I bought. I bought a rather run-down, kind of beat-up duplex downtown Phoenix, and it needed a lot of work. I had a lot of issues with it over the course of 5 years. If you watched my last video, you can find out more about that. But it was a good investment. I got it at a good price, and I wanted to buy a multifamily property specifically so that I could rent out one side and live in the other and subsidize the cost of that mortgage and house hack around me, which means do all the fixing up, paint, and all of these home improvements while I was living there so that I could improve the property slowly over time and force appreciation. So that's the first step that I took, was find a property I could afford, that I could gentrify myself basically as the neighborhood gentrified around it. So obviously we're all familiar with the housing boom during COVID. So that was one thing that really aided my ability to pay off my mortgage in the long run, was taking advantage of these increasing home prices, and specifically the house that I had bought in a hot neighborhood, and watched everything in that downtown area gentrify around me. So as I was living there and making improvements, getting a rent check from the tenant next door, I also had a car payment. I had $10,000 left on my car, and stupid me, as I've gotten smarter, I have learned not to buy a brand new car because, again, you're eating that depreciation on the front end. So while I had worked hard to pay off my car, I had $10,000 left, and I knew I wanted to get rid of that payment on a monthly basis. It was $371. And I knew once I could get rid of that, then I could use that cash flow again to apply to a future debt. Now, at the height of the pandemic, at the end of 2020, I decided to buy another property. I was an aspiring real estate guy. I just wanted to keep stacking properties and thought the sky was the limit. So I had this duplex, and then 18 months later, I bought a single family home. And this was a decently daunting prospect because I just stepped into something like $550,000 of mortgage debt. However, the good news was I now had 2 nicely renovated, flipped units at this duplex that I could rent for downtown Phoenix market rents, which was great. And my plan was to take that cash flow, something like $1,000 per month, plus the payment that I no longer had on my car, and put that into a bank account. And as I was building that bank account with the incoming rent roll and my regular 9-to-5 income, I said, hey, I want to set a goal for myself. When I reach this amount of savings, I want to then work with the mortgage company on a recast and do a re-amortization of my primary home loan. And what that allows you to do, I have a video on recasting if you want to check it out. But what a recast allows you to do is basically come in with a secondary down payment of any size and apply that directly to the outstanding balance on your mortgage. And then it recasts it, meaning it'll redo all the payments for the next 29, 30 years. And it'll drop the payment based on the new balance, minus the new payment that you came in with. And why that is so cool, and it goes back to the strategy that I'm talking about, is because it allows you to free up even more cash flow. And then you can do a recast again in the future if you want. But let's say, for simple math, let's say you have a $1,500 mortgage payment and you come in with another down payment and it drops it to $1,000 a month. Then you have $500 that you can continue to pay, because that was your existing mortgage payment. You can continue to pay that $500, but instead of being split in half or worse, going to interest and PMI, it goes directly to principal. So it just gets faster and faster and faster as you pay further on the loan. So you can start to see how I was accelerating my mortgage payoff with a freed up car payment that's going to principal, with a recently recasted mortgage where I was able to take a third of what I was paying to the mortgage company and then apply that directly to principal. And it started to really drop that mortgage balance. And then with my duplex, I realized, hey, if I sell this thing, I will probably clear enough money to pay off the remainder. And that's exactly what I did. I listed the property at the beginning of 2024. Took a while to sell, unfortunately. But when I walked away with the profit, I was able to apply that to my primary mortgage balance and then have it drop to zero. So I went from having 2 mortgages, one on the rental and then one on the primary, and have them essentially wiped out overnight, which was extremely exciting. But I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not been really aggressive with paying down my mortgage and applying anything extra I had to that principal to get it to a level where there was an event that took place, the home sale, that allowed me just to cut the rest of it out. Had I not had that maniacal focus on paying off my loan at the beginning, I'd still be stuck with it right now. And again, I know it's a tall order for me to sit here and say, hey, go out and buy a rental property and then go buy another property and use the rent roll to pay off the other one and then sell it and then you'll be at $0 of debt. Again, I know that is not feasible for a lot of people, but I'm asking you to employ the strategies that allow you to free up cash and pay down mortgages more quickly. What I did, and this was all a very thought out process, was find a place that could subsidize my mortgage, use the cash flow to save, and then pay off something like a car to continue to save and accelerate savings, recast the mortgage, and then bring it to a level where if I did have enough money built up in savings, I could pay off the remainder. And that's basically the strategy, regardless of the amount of houses, regardless of the interest rates and the balances and things like that. The math just has to work. And so you have to work really hard at freeing up cash to drive your mortgage balance down over time.
You paid off your house?
And lastly, I really just want to round out the video with talking about the peace of mind and the mental health improvement that being debt-free comes with. In the last couple weeks, I've really noticed an important change in myself and my mental health, and that I'm sleeping better and that I can enjoy the little things in life and I'm not as angry at the world. And I know that I could get laid off and it would suck, but I'm not going to lose my house over it. I'm not going to really be in a tough spot necessarily because I've conscientiously reduced my level of spending and I live within my means. And as this video demonstrates, I worked really hard to pay off my mortgage so that I could enjoy that peace of mind and not be in the same boat as so many Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck and laden with 4, 5, 6 different types of debt that are eating away at them on a daily basis. There is an incredible feeling knowing that I have a paid off car in the garage and I have a paid off home. Obviously, you have to pay insurance and taxes on these things, but the saying bye-bye to the mortgage company and getting a congratulations letter in the mail from your mortgage company saying, hey, it's been fun. Oh, baby, bye, bye, bye. That feels great. I should go out and have it framed for the wall back here. But the peace of mind really, and I'm saying this as a way to motivate you and have something to strive for, because it's really illuminating and elevating in a way that you don't really know about it until you get there. And so in talking about improving mental health and what's going on in the world, just do yourself a favor and work hard to get out of debt. And you will be so thankful with your past, present, and future self when you do that, because it just opens up, as I mentioned, a world of possibilities, and you don't have to be stuck in the negative. You can be looking at the positive in terms of wealth building and invest in the things you want, take the vacations that you want, buy the things you want, and make more free financial decisions because you're not strapped down to the table and having all these things crush your chest. So I really just want to thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope to see you soon.
I love it. I love it.